This is the face prosecutors want jurors to see and never forget. Athena Strand, a little girl taken too soon. And this is the face of the man they say is responsible. Tanner Horner, the man they want to put on Texas's death row.
I think it's a huge responsibility to ask people to determine whether or not a person should live or die.
Horner goes on trial in Tarrant County more than 3 years after Athena's disappearance and killing shocked North Texas. A judge moved the case from Wise County because of concerns Horner might not receive a fair trial there. The judge has also issued a gag order preventing prosecutors and defense attorneys from speaking publicly. Horner drove a contract delivery truck for FedEx. Investigators say Athena was playing in her front yard on November 30th, 2022, when he arrived with a package. Police say Horner later confessed, telling investigators he hit the 7-year-old with his delivery van and kidnapped her because he feared she would tell her father. He told police he strangled her and dumped her body in rural Wise County, later leading investigators to where she was found.
Facts are horrible.
It's like a parent's worst nightmare.
It is definitely a parent's worst nightmare.
In court filings, Horner's attorneys argue prosecutors should not be allowed to seek the death penalty, saying his autism reduces what they call his moral blameworthiness. They are also asking the judge to throw out his confession, arguing that because of his autism, he did not knowingly or voluntarily waive his right against self-incrimination.
The science is pretty clear that autism is real, that autism affects people in profound ways. And some people who are autistic reach the level of disability that they don't understand their actions. Whether it is enough to help the defense in this case is largely going to depend on how severe that autism spectrum disorder is.
North Texas attorneys Terry Bentley Hill and Mike Howard say death penalty cases follow a very different process from the typical trial. That difference touches every part of the process, from jury selection to how lawyers present the case, to the life and death questions jurors must ultimately answer. If jurors find Horner guilty of capital murder, the trial moves to the punishment phase.
And the rules are that they have 2 questions to answer. They call them special issues questions.
First, jurors must decide whether Horner would be a future danger to society. If all jurors say yes, they move to a second question. Is there anything in his background that should spare him from the death penalty? If all jurors say no, he is sentenced to death. If it's not unanimous, the sentence becomes life without parole.
It's going to be a battle of the experts. The defense is going to bring in their experts to try to convince the jury that this man had a mental impairment, that he's not the worst of the worst.
How disabled is this person? How much did they understand their actions?
And that question only comes into play if jurors first convict Tanner Horner of capital murder. If they do, their answers will determine whether he spends the rest of his life in prison or is sentenced to die for the killing of Athena Strand. I'm senior investigative reporter Tanya Iser, WFAA News.
Join us for gavel-to-gavel coverage of the trial on WFAA+. Legal experts will join Tanya to break down testimony each day. Download our free streaming app to your TV and start watching tomorrow at 8:30 a.m.